Many of you would have came here to the UK for the September intake, and you might be wondering that how to constructively manage your initial 1 month or the initial 2 months of landing in the UK. Because like personally for me, I like really wasted my initial few months, and I think like I really wish that I could do some of the things very differently. So that's what I want to talk in this video, that how to constructively manage your very first 1 or 2 months. I think the very first thing which I'll say you is that make sure that you focus on your CV and the cover letter. The very first priority when you come to the UK is your studies, right? The parties, the catching up with friends, everything comes secondary. The very first thing is that you have to focus on your studies, because that's how you're going to get a skilled worker visa later on after finishing your studies. So in order to get a job, to get the skilled worker visa, you really need your CV and the cover letter. And as you will realize that as you move more towards your university course degree, the second semester will be filling up with dissertation time. You need to do the university assignments, you need to apply for the jobs. So it's really important in the initial few months when you've got bit more of relaxation, that you focus on your CV and the cover letter, and try taking help from the people who have already gone through the journey like me. So the link is in the description box below if you want my any help for one-to-one calls or anything like that. So the very first thing is try making your CV and the cover letter. Now I want to move to the second thing. The second thing is the secondary activities, right? I will talk about the primary activity, which is like focusing on the study. I think the secondary activity is that you need to get used to the local transportation system. I really regret this thing because I was a lot much focused on my studies, and I really kind of was lagged behind. I kind of delayed like knowing about the city, for example Glasgow where I lived. But I'll definitely suggest you to explore that local place if you're going to live there. Try finding out where is the grocery store, which are the cheapest grocery store. Now that's my experience been. So actually I used to go to very expensive stores in the initial few months. It was called Sainsbury. Then I realized, man, I'm a student, right? So I have to like cut down my budget. So some of the stores which I can recommend you is LD. LD is very good for students. So once I got to know that Sainsbury is really expensive, the second store where I went was LD. It's really great prices. I think this is one of the best prices available, like, you know, across all the grocery markets essentially. So yeah, LD. And Tesco is quite good as well, again quite affordable, but definitely for the students LD is really nice. Lidl is another one. Lidl is quite good. And the other thing is, in terms of the grocery markets, there are certain big supermarkets. For example, Tesco will be having a big supermarket, and they'll be having a local stores which are quite smaller in size. If you go to the small stores, the stuff is going to be expensive. If you go to the supermarket, which are the big stores, it's going to be a bit cheap. So this is another tip for you guys for the initial 1 or 2 months, right? Once you know all these essential commodities, and try focusing on the transportation system. Try thinking about how does the bus goes from my accommodation to my university. Then think about how to get a train, how to get a metro. So all these things are something which you should try focusing on the initial 1 month. And don't feel shy that someone is going to say you like this is wrong. Like, you know, people are going to say you wrong, but very constructively. You know, people here are really friendly. They're always here to help you out. So anything you're getting confused, make sure you ask them. So this is quite good examples. I'm just standing in front of the cycles. So like, you know, these all things you can rent. So it's got a scan code over here. You can essentially download the application, scan the code, and you can just take it. You can rent it out, all these electric vehicles. Just try exploring the city. As I said, you try exploring where's the grocery markets and everything. So this is quite useful to have this all e-bikes and stuff. So yeah, so the very first thing is try focusing on exploring the local city. Where are your grocery stores and all these things. So now comes to number third point, which is in terms of your financial management. Now this is something very important. This is something which you should learn in the initial 1 or 2 months, right? So the very first thing is that try getting a part-time job. Now part-time job is not just to earn money. Part-time job is also to learn different skills. What are those skills? Communication skills. When you, let's say if you work as a waiter in a restaurant, right? So you need to interact with the local customers. So you might be able to understand the local accent, you know, the local grammar, like all those things you'll be able to learn, the local slangs and everything, the local culture. So I think these are things are really important, which you definitely learn during your part-time job. Then team building skills, like, yeah, so I will definitely recommend you to do a part-time job, and on top of that you also get a salary, right? Now I've seen a lot of people that who get their salary that they essentially wasted quite a lot by not managing it really well, right? So they really struggle when it comes towards the end of the month and they've got the salary in the previous month, right? So in order to manage your salary, what I'll definitely suggest you is that, personally for me, I've got an Excel file. On the Excel sheet, I just write it down. Okay, well, what are my expenses? And you have to be realistic in your expenses, that amount of money you're spending. In my own personal case, now I'm doing a job, it's a bit different, but when I was a student, so it was, I think, 30% of my salary goes to the rent, okay, that's the average salary. So that's kind of average rent, like 30% should go to your rent, right? So that's how I took that 30% kind of percentage wise. So my 30% salary goes to the rent, and then my 10% goes to the stock market. So I also like to invest my money. So yeah, so this is another thing which you can think about, like managing your money, right? And for investing in the stock market, even if it's like 50 pounds, 60 pounds, whatever amount you can kind of afford, whatever amount you can save, try investing there, like 50, 60 pounds, like which you can afford to lose as well, right? Because stock market is up, down, up, down, up, down. So just be careful. It's not like that hera fairy, ek ka double. It's not like that. So it takes time. So yeah, so think about that. Put in some stock market. Then think about what will be your grocery expenses. Is it 100 pounds? Is it 120 pounds? Is it 150 pounds? Then think about how much money do you want to spend on the weekends with your friends, like going to maybe, let's say, watching a movie, going to explore a new place. How much money do you want to spend over there? So these are some of the things we should note down in the expense section of your Excel sheet. Then you mention, like, okay, well, how much money are you earning, and well, yeah, like what are your long-term prospects, like after 1 year. Okay, well, you need to apply for a post-study work visa. It will be requiring 2,000 pounds. So how should you be saving from that salary towards a specific goal? Yeah, so I think all these things are something which you should think about. Okay, if you want to buy a new iPhone, how much money you should start saving, where you should cut down your expenses. Is it cutting down the Netflix subscription? Is it cutting down the Amazon Prime? So yeah, so I think these all things, like putting all of these things into an Excel sheet, really helps quite a lot and really helps you to manage your finances. So I think, like, these are some of the 3 important things which will say you to try and focus in the very first 1 month. And also, apart from this, for CV cover letter, you can take my help. I'll edit all the CV, I'll make it UK format style, and then share with you. The link for that is in the description box of this video. Cheers, bye bye, I'll see you next week.